This is your video instruction manual for your 2022 Ram Promaster camper van build. Come on in.
The light switches for the van are located forward of the sliding door. You've got a light switch for the garage lighting. The center switch is for the main overhead lights, and there's a dimmer knob located next to that to dim the overhead lights to just the level you need. There's also a remote for the under cabinet lights. Those are dimmable as well. Additionally, you've got a light for the cockpit up here. Just push the button, turn it on and off, or push and hold to dim it or brighten it. There's also small area lights above the bed as well as over the stove. All of the windows are the Tern Overland windows. They've got full light blocking shades as well as bug screens, and those screens can connect or disconnect. To open the windows, you'll have multiple latches depending on the side of the window. If they're already closed, you have to push this button to be able to rotate the latches. And the windows themselves have multiple stopping points, and to close it, you've got to take it all the way out, and then it will come back in. So then just reverse the process, locks the windows in. All of the drawers and doors use the RV Labs latches. These latches work great. They serve as a lock as well as the pull. They do have a little bit of a finickiness when you use them though. You want to make sure that you put your finger underneath the latch and your knuckles kind of hit the cabinet face and pull it out that way. You don't want to lift up on them or just yank hard on them because it'll bind. You want to have that nice motion there where it causes the latch to drop down and freeze up the cabinet. When you close them, on the upper cabinets, all of the doors lift up and the hinges support them up. And they also have these latches to retain them closed. Super nice and clean, no hardware, you just pull on the door to open it. And then when you close it, make sure you give them their last little pop in order to make sure they're latched. To access the table in the dinette area, just push on this button. That unlocks it and gives you a knob to pull. And your table slides out. Pretty nice. Do the repeat to close it, push it back in to lock it. The garage access hatch works the same way. Push it to unlock it. Just got some magnets. Clip it back in, push it to lock it. The dinette seats also have storage underneath of them. On the passenger side, you've got a large storage space as well as access to the main freshwater tank drain. You lift up that gate valve there, that will start to drain your main freshwater tank. On the driver's side is an additional small storage space. You can see the vent hose for the Webasto heater. Also underneath this are the two lithium batteries. There's two 200 amp hour lithium batteries under there. The dinette area also converts into an additional sleeping space or a couch by putting in the filler piece. So to do that, I'm just going to slide the filler piece out from underneath the mattress. And it just rests into position. And then slide your cushions over. So as far as electrical outlets go in the van, Forward here in the counter, you've got two 110-volt normal household power outlets, as well as a USB and USB-C outlet. Of note, the USB works no problem off the batteries. This USB-C, the inverter has to be on to use that. The inverter also has to be on, obviously, to use the outlets. There's also two outlets, 12-volt plug, and two more USB ports back here for power, as well as additional USB and 12-volt outlets in the electrical cabinet. The van has the factory swivel seats. They're pretty nice. To swivel them, there's a lever you're going to pull on the forward corner of the seat. So you're going to pull this lever, which unlocks it and allows it to swivel. So here you can see how this lever, you just grab underneath and pull that whole corner out. The other side is the tilt for the seat back function. There's your swiveled seat. Pretty nice. If the driver's side seat is swiveled, the van will not go into drive, so you can't drive away. But if the passenger side seat is swiveled, we've overridden those features, so you can drive away even if this passenger seat is swiveled. Normally from the factory, it would prevent you from doing that, but you never know if you need to make a quick getaway. You need to have the driver's seat forward anyway, so to just be able to drive. So we've got the passenger one disabled. So in the back of the van here, on the driver's side is all of the electrical components. On the other side, got your hot and cold shower. It's got a quick connect nozzle. Push it in and twist, and then select the spray type you want. You got two more switches, off and on, for the overhead lights and garage lights. As for the water tank, there's a water tank monitor on the Cerbo display, but you could also manually see what level the tank is at. When the garage lights are on, it lights up a light behind the tank so you can see the water level. Also, your spare tire kit is located in there. The Dometic fridge freezer runs directly off the batteries. Just pull this lever to open. It's got a nice tight seal. Here's your freezer compartment, adjustable shelves, trays. This is the temperature sensor in order to display the temperature on the Victron Cerbo display. Inside here, above the light, you've got your on-off button, as well as the thermostat selector. So you've got 4 different levels, or if you push and hold this thermometer display for 3 seconds, it'll put it into turbo mode to cool it down faster. When the blue light is on, it means the compressor is running. When it's off, it's not running. The fridge also has a vent mode. Let's say you're not going to be using the van for a long time and you want to just turn the refrigerator off. Normally you wouldn't do that because you don't want it to defrost and puddle water everywhere. But if you're leaving for a long time, you can turn the refrigerator off, open the door and slide this lever to the vent mode. And that way when you close it, it keeps it slightly open so that air can flow through and it doesn't get all mildewy. Moving rearward, we've got the oven and stove, as well as flip-up countertop. Gives you extra counter space to put it down. There's just a couple triggers to release underneath. There is a magnet that holds it closed. So the stove top, you do not want to cook while the glass is down. So make sure you fold this back. It will shatter if you cook with the glass down. There's additional light above the stovetop for cooking light. To light the burners, you're gonna select the burner you want, put it on high, and just click the sparker, and there you go. Easy peasy. Great flame control. Turn it off, it turns itself off. For the oven, you're gonna do the same thing. This is the oven control. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put it to the pilot light symbol and push in, and then spark it. It's easier to do this while you're looking in the oven, but once the pilot light lights, you want to keep pushing this in for a few moments before you let go of it. Then you can set your temperature. So the propane tank is in the van under the stove, and the way you access that, we're going to open these doors. One side is storage. This is an adapter for a 1 pound tank. We'll show you in a minute. And the other side is the propane tank. And you'll notice it's strapped in with a strap. That's so it doesn't slide around. So to pull it out, just open up the cam buckle and slide the tank right out. And it's just like a normal home barbecue grill. This loosens and tightens on and off that fitting, and this is your valve. It's currently on. So if you need to refill it, just take it off, fill it, and then when you put it back in, or actually, so if you run out and you have some backup 1 pound propane tanks, you can attach this to your green 1 pound tank. You want to make sure you attach it to this first though, because if you just screw this onto the tank, propane is going to shoot out this end to the tank. So put this on the propane hose first, then attach your tank, and you'll be able to use a 1 pound tank. So to stow this guy, just slide it back in. Make sure the hose is on top. Get the buckle. There is also a propane alarm if the propane starts leaking for whatever reason, and that's located under the closet. So if that thing detects propane, it'll start beeping and yelling at you. So the toilet is sitting on this full strength drawer. You can totally sit on the toilet here. It's a Compo closet composting toilet. You can also completely pull the toilet out of its drawer and position it however you want, or if you need to work on it. It is plugged into this 12-volt power cord. You can just unplug that if you need to. That powers a small fan that circulates air through a activated carbon filter in the toilet itself. Moving on to the sink. If you remove the cutting board, it still has its wrapper on. You've got your sink faucet with hot and cold water, as well as the filtered water. For any water to work, obviously you got to have the water pump on. So the water pump switch is located in the electrical cabinet. Just push it. Hot and cold. Spout comes out. And the filtered water is a 2-stage filter system made by CWR. It's under the sink. Here's the 2 cartridges. You'll need a filter wrench to change those. There's also shutoff valves for hot and cold water under here. This is your sink drain, which drains to the external gray tank outside the van. Located under this cabinet is the Webasto air heater. The front here, there's actually an air intake that serves as the intake air for the heater, and then you can see the hot air exhaust comes up through this on its way to the dinette seat vent. You've also got this 12-volt air conditioner by Mabru. The controls on the Mabru air conditioner are pretty simple. You've got your power button, the fan speed, It'll cycle through the speeds as you push it. Lights, which don't function, we don't have lights in this. M is the mode. You've got max, just vent, it'll circulate air in the cabin. Eco mode, and normal mode. Normal mode is good for most applications. Eco mode definitely draws less power. If the vehicle is already cool or you're not in a super hot climate, Eco mode will definitely keep up, but it won't cool the van down if it's been cooking in the sun all day. You'll need to have it in normal or max for that. And we also have the temperature. 60 is the lowest you can set it to. So as you press up, it'll increase the thermostat. When it detects that temperature, it'll cycle down. It is a variable speed compressor, so you'll hear the low rumbling noise of the compressor speeding up and slowing down. That definitely helps it to be as energy efficient as it is. There's a remote control as well. The remote is not very well made and is hard to understand. You'll have to play with that and figure out which buttons do what function. The electrical system in this van consists of 400 amp hours of lithium batteries, 600 watts of solar panels, a 60 amp DC to DC charger that charges while the vehicle is driving. On the driver's side is all of the electrical components. This is the Victron inverter charger. This is what converts your battery power into normal household plug power. This also is what charges your batteries up plugged into power. You've got an additional 12 volt outlet with USBs, a normal household outlet. This is the shore power breaker. You can turn this on when you're plugged into shore power. In here are all of the electrical components. The electrical components in the back of the van are, this is the main battery disconnect switch. Rotate that to off and you will cut all power to your DC system. This is the shunt. That is so the battery monitor can measure current going in and out of the battery. This is the Victron Links distributor. All of these are labeled. They basically show you this is distributing the 12 volt power to the different users. The inverter, air conditioner, solar, your DC panel inside the van, and then the DC to DC charger. So this is input and output. This is the DC to DC charger by Renogy. It's a 60 amp charger, easily configurable. You want to make sure this knob stays in the lithium selector position. This is the breaker for your solar panels. If you needed to work on or disconnect, or you just wanted to turn off the solar panels, you can do so there. This is the solar panel charge controller. It's a 100 volt 50 amp max charge controller, and you've got 600 watts of solar coming in. And lastly, up in the corner, this is the brains for the Cerbo GX. Basically, this is the computer, and the monitor in the RV is the display screen. All of your electrical components talk to this. The tanks, what else? Temperature gauges. And of course, the inverter. And all of that is monitored in the main electrical cabinet. On the left, in this big black box here, we've got the AC breakers and DC fuses. Those are all labeled inside the lid. These fuses will turn red when they blow out. The breakers work just like your normal household breaker. Flick it to turn it off or on. Up here we've got the SmartTemp controller for the Webasto heater. You can control this directly on the controller, or you can also download the app to your phone, which works a lot better. Below that, we've got the brains of the system, the Victron Cerbo. This is the main monitor for all of your electrical stuff. You can see you've got your freshwater levels as well, gray water, propane tank, and the fridge temperatures.
Obviously, we've also got the electrical stuff, the solar charger, how much power it's putting out, the battery percentage, how much power is being used by the DC system, and this is the inverter. It'll show you what state it's in, whether it's inverting, charging, both, or off. Below that, we've got two switches. The switch on the left with the water faucet is to turn the water pump on. So when that's lit up blue, water pump is on and you have water pressure. The switch on the right is the heater for the batteries. Lithium batteries do not like to be charged when the temperatures are below 32 degrees. So if you're getting in weather that you think might get close to that, just turn this on. The heating pad has a built-in thermostat, so it won't turn on unless the thermostat itself detects that it's below 40 degrees, and then it will turn on and keep the batteries heated so that you don't cause any issues. And then below that we have the 12-volt socket as well as two USB plugs.
The Victron Cerbo displays all the information from your electrical system, as well as water levels, propane levels, and fridge temperatures. So a quick overview. We're currently plugged into shore power, so you can see that in the red square here, it's showing us all of our shore power information. This blue square in the middle is the inverter charger. It's currently plugged in and turned on, and it's charging the battery system. This green square in the top right corner, that would be if we had any AC loads turn on. So for example, if we had a hair dryer plugged in or something else, a normal household outlet, it would give you how much load is being pulled on the AC side of things. Down on the bottom left, we've got our battery symbol. As you can see, it shows the battery is at 99%. The voltage is currently 13.68, and we're putting 68 amps into the battery. Moving over in the middle on the bottom, the green tile for DC system, that shows you how much power your DC elements are using. So currently we're using 15 amps, and that's the lights, the water pump, the fridge is on, whatever else is running currently. And then lastly on the right, we've got the PV charger, so that's your solar panels. It's a little cloudy outside. Currently we're putting in about 250 watts. And so if you've got your shore power plugged in and it's sunny out, you can combine all of that charging capacity, so you'll see those numbers add up and it'll charge even faster. You've also got your freshwater tank level, so it's currently at 66% or 22 gallons. It's pretty close, it's pretty approximate, but it's not exact. The gray water tank is currently empty. Propane tank is full, and the fridge is at 49 degrees. And if you changed that, you could put the fridge temperature sensor in the freezer. You could add more, you could have additional ones for the freezer just to see more information. You can access more information on all of these tiles by tapping them. So for example, if you tap the inverter icon, you can control the inverter. If you tap the shore power icon, you can limit your shore power current. Tap the battery for more battery information, etc. There are a few other screens on the Victron Cerbo that you can access by swiping. So swipe once, this is just kind of your tanks overview. So freshwater tank, empty gray tank, and then there's our full propane. Swipe again, this is just another display of pertinent system information such as the battery status, time, how much you're charging, etc. And then you're back to this screen. If you tap not on an icon, you can choose menu, and that'll get you into the settings screen, which is a rabbit hole. Definitely recommend watching some YouTube videos that are dedicated specifically just to the settings on the Cerbo device. To get out of that, hit pages. All right, you can cut. We're going to use this adapter, but if you had a 30 amp power cord, you could just use that directly. But the van can totally use a normal extension cord just fine. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to put the female end into the 30 amp connector. It only goes one way. There are some slots in the receiving end. So put that guy in there nice and firm and then screw it closed. So that adapts you down to the normal 15 amp plug. So then we can connect our extension cord from this to our shore power post. So once you connect to your shore power, you gotta make one more step in the back of the van. You want to make sure to turn this shore power breaker in the van on. So flip it up to on, you should see that green light illuminate. If that green light doesn't illuminate and you're plugged in, you need to check something because it's not getting any power. Once that's on, then we can go to the front to the Cerbo control screen and do the rest from there. Once you've connected to shore power, we want to turn the inverter on. So there's a few settings for the inverter. Just tap this icon and you want to set it to either on or charger only. Right now we'll turn it on. You'll hear it click. You'll see some information come alive and the shore power symbol starts to display all the information as well. It's important to then set the shore power to limit to the number of amps that you have accessible. So since we're only using a 15 amp cord, aka a normal extension cord, we want to make sure that we limit the shore power charging to 15 amps. So to do that, just touch the shore power icon, select the current limit you want. So we'll go with 15 amps. And then if that was different than what was already there, you would need to set accept new. So let's say for some reason we want to make it even lower than that. So let's set it to 10 amps, accept new. And now it's going to limit the current that gets pulled out of the shore power receptacle to no more than 10 amps. That's important because, you know, if you're plugged into your friend's extension cord in their driveway, you want to make sure that you're not pulling enough amps to be able to trip anything at their house. If you're camping somewhere and the weather's nice and you want to keep the doors open but keep the bugs out, you can deploy the screens. So those are just rolled up and held in place with some connectors. Undo those, let it roll down. Zipper on this side. Got a nice magnet door on this side. All right, there's also screens as well as a weatherproof flap for the back of the doors. To deploy those, the first thing you're going to do is undo the screens by unhooking the snaps, and you're going to do the ones on the inside of the van. These are for the weather flap. You want to do the inside fasteners first. Screens will roll down. Close your zippers. So now you're bug proof, still got some airflow. The garage is hidden. You will note that the light switches and the shower curtain are blocked off. So if you're showering, you'll have to have the curtain or the spray hose snaked out the side there. Another nice feature of this is you can partially roll it up. So that you can have access to it, but still keep the living area bug free. And then what I think is my favorite feature, there's a weatherproof flap. So if you undo these outer buckles, that gives you some privacy up top, like so. Or if you leave it unzipped,
Got these little shock cords that you can put to the back of the van. And that gives you a little shade, keeps the drizzle off of your mattress. That's super nice.